American Airlines Flight 510, emergency at 32,000 feet. Ordinary day, extraordinary turn. It was a day that smelled like coffee and jet fuel, like luggage leather and the faint tang of airport antiseptic. Families shuffled through the concourse of Dallas-Fort Worth International. Businessmen scrolled through messages. College students with duffel bags argued about seat choices. In gate B14, Flight 510's boarding call sounded routine, the voice of a gate agent polite and efficient, the way it always does, promising movement, the continuation of plans. In the cockpit, Captain Melissa Harding ran through the same pre-flight rituals she had for nearly 2
Before
decades.
taxi checklist complete.
Checklists, radios, weather briefings,
Flight controls
and
checked.
a practiced calm.
Flight instruments
She was
both
44,
checked.
a
Before
pilot
taxi
respected
checklist
for her
complete.
steady hands and even
Center
temper.
Delta
Her
721, switching to
co-pilot,
advisory
First Officer
frequency.
Daniel Brooks,
Good day.
was 12 years her junior, bright, methodical, eager to learn. Down the aisle, the lead flight attendant, Kelly Reyes, did her safety checks with a smile that concealed years of emergency drills.
Good morning.
And the quiet
Please ensure your
confidence of
bags are
someone who had
completely
seen
under
both
the
the
seat in
best
front of you,
and
and your
worst of human
seatbelt is
behavior
fastened.
at 30,000 feet. No one on board anticipated that those routines would be shattered less than an hour into the flight. The moment the sky broke. At 47 minutes after takeoff, as the Boeing 737-800 sat comfortably at its cruising altitude of 32,000 feet, the cabin was a collage of small worlds. A man trying to sleep, a woman finishing an important spreadsheet, a child watching cartoons on a tablet. Then came the first jolt, violent, uncompromising. Silverware skittered. A woman's magazine flew from her lap.
What is going
The
on?
aircraft rolled slightly, a movement
Attention,
that felt
everyone.
wrong
Stay
because
in
it
your
came
seats.
without warning. In the cockpit,
What is going
the sound
on?
was
Oh my
worse
God,
than
we're
the
going
motion.
down.
A high-pitched squeal,
Help
a
us.
snap, then the cascade of annunciators. The autopilot disconnected. Sensors lit up like a control room at peak crisis. Engine 2, compressor stall.
This is
Daniel
the flight
announced,
deck. We are
voice
currently
clipped.
cruising at
Professional.
35,000 feet.
Melissa's hands
Expect
tightened
some
on the
light
yoke.
chop as
A compressor stall is not simply an
Initiating
engineering
the shutdown
term.
procedure and
To
declaring
passengers,
pan-pan.
it
We require
translates to a
immediate vectors
lost
for
heartbeat
landing.
of momentum, an awareness that something fundamental inside the
Engine start
machine
levers,
has
both.
failed.
Cut
To
off?
pilots,
Auto throttle
it is an
disconnect.
urgent
Disconnected.
problem with a checklist and a
We are running
protocol,
the emergency descent
but also
checklist
a
now,
variable monster
Overhead
that can
panel, lead
cascade into
selector,
other
switch off.
failures if not
Confirmed off.
controlled.
Crossfeed valve closed.
Engine
then
2
auto.
on the right
Set.
side coughed.
Checklist complete.
Flames of heat and friction, invisible behind the cowling, but present in the sudden smell of burning oil that seeped into the cabin air. The right engine's RPM dropped. Alarms began another layer of the orchestra,
Master
amber
warning
warnings,
confirmed.
then an
We have
ominous
engine
red.
overheat.
And then the cabin pressurization
Silencing the
system,
alarm.
pushed and strained to keep
Everything is
32,000
under
feet
control.
breathable,
Please remain in your
registered and
seats.
dropped.
We are monitoring the
Cabin
situation
altitude
closely.
rising, Kelly heard through the intercom, before masks dropped. Her
Cabin
training
attendants,
snapped into
cockpit
place.
alert.
We have a
Lock
loss
the
of
galley,
cabin pressure.
secure loose
I repeat,
items,
loss of cabin
speak
pressure.
to passengers with a calm voice, though her own
Secure
heart
your
raced.
masks. Pull the strap
Masks
tight.
fell like reluctant
Remain
fruit
calm
from the
and breathe
ceiling.
normally.
Passengers yelped, hands fumbling. The aircraft began a carefully controlled emergency descent, rapid enough to reach breathable atmosphere, controlled enough not to
We are
overstress the
initiating
airframe.
emergency descent.
Lives in micro
Maintain
moments of humanity.
250 knots.
In row 14,
Cabin pressure
a
is
mother,
stabilizing.
Priya,
We'll be on
clutched
the
her
ground
2-year-old
shortly.
son Arjun,
Emergency
pressing the
descent
oxygen mask
initiated.
to his face as he stared with
Checklist
wide,
complete.
bewildered eyes.
Maintaining control.
Priya's hands trembled, not from the mask, but from the memory of hearing a similar
We are
alarm years
experiencing
earlier
some
in a local
turbulence.
hospital
Please
ward.
keep your masks on.
Beside them,
Everything is under
An
control.
elderly man, Mr. Thompson,
Remain calm and
sang
listen for
softly to
instructions.
himself, a prayer,
Put the oxygen
cadence
mask over
learned
your
in
nose
church.
and mouth and breathe
Near the
normally.
back, a corporate executive, Mark Evans, had a tablet frozen on a spreadsheet when the plane lurched. Instinctively, he checked his watch,
Ladies and
then his
gentlemen,
phone,
please
then
remain
the faces
calm
of
and keep your
strangers
seatbelts
around him.
securely fastened. We
Fear
will
is
be
a
landing
social
shortly.
phenomenon. It spreads, but so
Remain
does calm.
Stay in your
Flight
seats
attendant
and
Kelly's
keep your
voice,
seatbelt
firm,
securely fastened.
unflappable, became an island of reassurance. She moved down
Secure
the
your
aisle,
seatbelts
checking
tightly across your
straps,
hips and
offering
remain
quick,
calm.
clear instructions,
Look for your
her
nearest
presence
emergency
keeping
exit.
panic from morphing into chaos. In the cockpit,
Remain seated
Melissa
with
and
your
Daniel
seatbelts
spoke in a
fastened low and
shorthand
tight.
that had no
Secure
room
all
for
loose articles
theatrics.
immediately.
They performed the memorized drills, secure fuel flow, manage engine out performance, and coordinate with ATC. Mayday,
Mayday,
American
Cactus
510.
1549 Heavy,
We have an
lost all
engine
thrust.
failure and rapid decompression. Request immediate descent and diversion. ATC's reply was precise and immediate. Vectors to descend to 10,000 feet. Clearance to divert to Albuquerque International, the nearest major field with full emergency services. The descent and the science
Airspeed looks
behind it.
good. Holding glide
An
slope.
emergency descent is an art of controlled
Sync
violence.
rate.
The
Landing.
pilots deploy
Thrust
speed
reversers
brakes,
engaged.
reduce thrust where necessary, and adopt a steep angle to bring the plane below the thin air danger zone quickly. At altitude, the difference between life and death can be measured in thousands of feet and minutes.
3 green.
Hypoxia, the
Preparing
silent
for
thief that
evacuation
dulls judgment
checklist.
and response, begins to insidiously degrade cognitive function if oxygen isn't restored. Melissa and Daniel had to manage asymmetric thrust. With one engine out, the airplane wanted to yaw. Pilots counter this with rudder and careful power adjustments, all the while keeping airspeed and attitude within safe limits. It's precise work done by rote and instinct. At 12,000 feet, cabin pressure normalized. The masks became ceremonial, tokens of a crisis past, but for some, a trauma that remained tactile. Passengers took tentative breaths, exchanging looks that carried the weight of what had just occurred. The approach, precision under pressure.
Roger that.
Landing a
Keep the speed
one-engine
steady.
737 is not the same as a normal arrival. The crew briefed the approach in crisp sentences. Fuel state was calculated conservatively. Emergency services were on standby. For the flight deck, every input mattered. Flap settings, approach speed, crosswind components. The single engine needed to produce maximum available thrust without overheating. The left side asymmetry required a delicate cross-controlled input. It's precise work done by rote and instinct. Below, the New Mexico desert stretched in a calm plain of sage and dune. On final approach, Melissa felt the old, comforting rhythm of flying, the hands-on connection to machine and sky. Stabilized, Daniel said. The word was a benediction. The touchdown was not cinematic. There were no sparks or near misses. Just steel, rubber, and the slow collective easing of tension as the aircraft rolled along the runway towards a stop. Fire trucks flanked them. Major services aligned like a line of guardians. The ramp crew's faces were masked and professional. The passengers, newly aware of mortality, were quiet. Aftermath. Investigation, community, and the human cost. In the days after the safe landing, the headlines alternated between technical analysis and human interest. Interviews surfaced. Melissa, who deflected praise to her crew and the training that kept them steady. Daniel, who called it the most intense hour of his life and credited teamwork.
Oh God,
Kelly,
thank
who
you.
spoke through the exhausted
it.
smile of someone proud to have helped. FAA investigators combed through maintenance logs, engine records, and flight data.
Flight data confirms
The preliminary
erratic
findings
readings right
identified
here,
a rare
matching the
mechanical
exceedance.
failure in a rotating assembly
Discrepancy
that
in the
led to a
pressurization
compressor
system
stall.
logs
A
starts
sequence
here.
where disrupted
the
airflow
digital
within the engine
telemetry shows
causes a
normal
loss of
operation
compression
until the
and
14th.
intermittent surges. The simultaneous pressurization failure was a confluence of events, a cascading effect triggered by
severe engine
vibrations
vibration on
and
number
transient sensor readings
Confirming. Oil
that
pressure
fooled
is
the
dropping
aircraft's
fast.
automatic systems into opening a pressure relief valve. No single negligence explained the failure.
Engine
Rather, the
exceedance.
outcome was a mosaic of age,
Bleed
wear,
air system
manufacturing tolerances, and the unforgiving physics of high-altitude flight. American Airlines instituted an immediate inspection protocol across similar engine types, and manufacturers issued service advisories that prevented further incidents. But the technical fixes were not the end of the story. The personal fallout. Passengers returned to lives subtly altered. Priya, who once prioritized a tidy home and career milestones, found that the sight of Arjun's small hand gripping her finger mid-descent reordered her priorities. Mr. Thompson, who had been quiet and solitary before the flight, began writing letters, reaching out to family members he had neglected. For Melissa, the event became a quiet crucible. She did not seek fame, she sought understanding. The investigation absolved the crew of human error, instead elevating their decisions as exemplary. Melissa kept flying,
but with a deepened
Based on
humility.
the comprehensive
She
review of
updated her
all
own
available
training
flight
notes,
data,
mentored
we can
younger
definitively
pilots,
state that
and
human
visited
error was
simulators to
not
talk about the fragility and resilience of systems. Daniel, who had joined the airline hoping to someday captain, carried a new sober respect for the margins in aviation, the small tolerances where science meets fate. Kelly returned to the galley with a medal of professionalism that came at no small personal cost. Sleeplessness, the replay of frightened faces, and the silent gratitude of those she helped. Epilogue: the thin line between disaster and survival. American Airlines Flight 510 did not become a case study in catastrophe. It became a lesson in how training, redundancy, and calm human decision-making can convert what should have been a headline-ending tragedy into a story of survival.
Cleared to land runway
At the heart of every emergency is a network of humans and machines.
Flight
That lattice holds because
We have
of
a
rigor,
hydraulic failure.
the checklists, the
Confirming
drills,
emergency
the
checklist
culture of
procedure.
readiness,